Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Look at how nicely framed I am. How's everyone doing today? Hey, Howie. Hey, Malfrey. Hey, Neil. Death Cube. How are folks? Hey, Los Inc. Who else? Daniel and Delvin, Lucas and RC Eagle. How are folks? Hey, Oscar. Hey, Christopher. It's been a little bit. It's been too long for one of these. We're gonna do another one this month, as I promised. So this is December 41st today. Today is December 41st. So this is the December Charlie's Angel stream. Hey, Bill. Hey, Killer Prince. On the way to Hollywood, so just stopping by to like the stream. Thank you, appreciate that. Hey, Lord Gitface. Hey, Obi Kota, Aetherling. What a day, December 41st. Good day. I've made sure to write, every time I've needed to, I've written 2025 still. Now I can start doing 2026 from here on. So, I mean, I haven't needed to write it, but every time I've needed to, I would have. Okay, we are going to give another go at getting the PZ washer to work on the Mercury 1 today. And then I think my goal for the member streams is I want to get into another RC build. Which one, I'm not quite sure yet. I'd like to do the Casadio Subaru, but that depends on how much progress I can make on printing parts in the next 3 weeks. So, because we'll probably do the next one on the 31st, the very last day of the month. I think that's a Saturday, right? Yeah. So, we shall see. Hey, Nurscape. Howdy, howdy. Hey, Raj. So, what we're going to do different. So, we got this really close to working last time. It responds to just tapping the nozzle with my fingertip, but it's not quite reliable enough to use yet. So, I'm going to try stiffening up the tool head with some PPS CF parts. So all the major parts for the tool head have been reprinted in PPS CF, and hopefully that is what we need to get this going. What do you think of the 3D sets kits? I thought about building one. 3D sets kits are fantastic with some caveats. There's every one of them I found little things that are pretty annoying and fiddly about. A few instructions things, but overall they're fantastic. I would recommend them still. So if you really want an idea, and I know it's long, but previewing my couple of streams I've done on those, the Sakura is still probably my favorite. I do eventually want to do the Torque, but I kind of want to try the Casadio design stuff. They're very different. The Casadio stuff requires a lot of support. Here, let's see. 3D Cults 3D, that's it. Let's go here. And if I search for, Casadio. So they have a pretty extensive collection. There's a Jeep, there's a Bronco, but this guy here, the Subaru. Oh, there's a MOG as well. So Casadio came out with a MOG pretty much the same time or around the same time as 3D sets did. That model I'm not planning on doing. It is gigantic. I don't really have any desire to build it. It doesn't interest me more than just the build and that. So I don't have a plan to do the MOG. But this guy here is very much interests me. The big difference is, I think, just from looking at the files, Casadio's might be a little more detailed, but require a lot more supports. So I've been kind of holding off on this build for the tool changers, because I'm hoping to use it as an example of printing with incompatible support. and seeing how that turns out. So, hey, Collie. But there's some good pictures here. It looks so fun. You race your RC cars around, or they stay in a cabinet? They pretty much stay in a cabinet. You have that exact car in real life, Howie? I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I've seen a 22B there's an event called SubiFest. I've been to SubiFest a couple of years. They had a 22B there one year in Southern California. But yeah, if you get into here, many of these parts require quite a bit of support. So I'm really hoping that this is a good use case for incompatible material supports. WRX STI. Yeah, I've had a 2008 blue STI and a 2019 white STI, as well as a 2015 BRZ. Lots of details. Lots of details. I already have the filament. I'm going to print the body in High Five Blue from Protopasta. I think that's pretty much the only color that was there was no question on what color I wanted to do on that. So, but you can see the detail is pretty high. Lots of cool stuff. I think we'll get into a drivetrain picture here in a second. Hey, Lost. I love these seats. The seats just look really cool. The dash is very detailed. I will do right-hand drive. I think there's some left-hand drive files as well with it. But there we go. There's the drivetrain. Yeah, I mean, down to simulated disc brakes and stuff on here. I think I know that the disc rotates. It attaches to the wheel, and the disc stays, or the caliper stays there. There we go. There's a good picture of the. Now these are printed shocks. I'm fairly certain they've released a actual RC shock option now, so I'll be doing that. I bought these files quite a while ago. They're equivalent in price, maybe even a little less. I don't know what the latest stuff is, but the cost of the parts is very reasonable in my opinion. Even the 3D set stuff is reasonable. I'm not a big fan of the way that they're splitting stuff out from 3D sets in terms of costs, but when you look at it, when you look at the amount of work into these and what you get from it, it's pretty incredible. What are they charging now? 52. I think I paid somewhere like 45, and I bought these files probably almost 2 years ago. Maybe it was a year and a half ago. Whenever it came out is probably when I bought it. It looks like it was October 24. So anyway, that is the plan for the next RC car build, and depending on if I can get enough parts printed to start it, we may start it on the January stream. So yeah, let's see what else. Let me get this camera where it needs to be, and we can get started on this. Oscar here. Maybe we can give Oscar some treat. You want some treat? Maybe we get some of this, huh? This. Since Felix isn't out here. If it comes with an oil leak on the valve cover, yeah. broken ring lands, you know, that kind of stuff. Is that yummy? Of course it is. You'll eat that as fast as I can squeeze it out of there. Oh, you lost some. Here, here, here. There you go. Good job. Good job. Okay, all done. Who signed my printer? So I took the deck panel here to the first Rocky Mountain Rep Festival, and I got the designer, Justin, to sign it. I got, who else? Edge of 3D, Scott was a tester on it. I had him sign it. I don't remember the names of exactly who else got signed the deck. Hey, Marcel. I had to get rust fixed around the filler neck too. They all get that spot. I'm in California. Not much rust on the cars. Okay, I think the idea here is let's get the bed out of the way a bit. We don't have a Zura here today, do we? Let me know if Zura shows up. Just moving this up, down out of the way. Hey, Surf. That's probably good enough. See if Azura shows up. Okay, loosen the belts, get the tool head. There we go, little easy. What do we have? Is it this one or is it this one? Nope, it's this one. So let's loosen these up. I have some plans to rebuild the gantry on this. I think there's been some revisions to the parts. It would probably be a good thing to do, but right now I want to, the whole point here is that my clicky probe stopped being repeatable. So I figured it was a good platform to try the PZ washer on. So that's where we're at. Hey, Alex. Yeah, we'll just let those be completely loose and then start taking apart some of this. So, what is the story of the Mercury? Was another printer that gets converted? Yeah, so this starts as an Ender 5. So it's a Creality Ender 5. The 0G group released this design to convert it to Core XY. So there's two parts to this. There's the Core XY conversion, and then there's the Hydra Z motion assembly. So I did both of these. Fabrico provided the kit for the conversion. They provided the Ender 5 printer, and we did this on a build series a couple of years ago. I really, honestly, like this printer. It is a very useful PLA PETG printer. They do have a fully enclosed frame setup now. I'm on the fence. I like the printer as it is. Won't say that I won't do a full enclosure conversion on it, but it's not in the immediate plans. I have done quite a bit of printing, like trinkets for shows and stuff, like the general PLA, PETG prints. And it's just kind of worked when I needed it to, until the clicky probe decided that it was done. It was done. I'm gonna assume I'll remember where everything plugs in. I don't know if that's safe or not, but we'll figure it out. I want to build their not ender conversion one. Yeah, is it the nebula? Is what they call the full enclosure? I haven't really kept up. I know Daniel Modbot wants to convert his to fully enclosed. First, so the idea here right now is over a couple of streams, we did a stream where I tried installing the PZ washer. So that's the E3D piezo probe solution. They have two versions. There's one that's built into a Revo hot end, and then another one that's just the PZ washer. And I tried that installed at a right angle to the nozzle. It was installed between the hot end mount and the tool head frame here, and that didn't work. So then another stream we came back, and I had modified it to where I'm sandwiching the washer between the heatsink of this drop effect hot end and the mount, and that worked a lot better, but not quite good enough. Now E3D has said this is very much not an ideal scenario for that setup. So what we're doing here is just trying to see if I stiffen up the assembly, if that will improve it or not. If it doesn't, then maybe I'll look for a completely different solution. But we're just trying stuff is basically the idea. Did you ever get the VZBot dialed in? You mentioned Daniel and it made me think of it. The VZBot I don't use very much because I had a couple of things with the screen, and beyond that, there's not a really good reason that I don't use it a lot. I do have some plans for this VZBot, but nothing that I really want to work on right now. Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the VZBot was I had some really not printer related issues with it that were annoying. Okay, there we go. So we got our whole thing, and the PZ washer is sandwiched up in there. So we'll just leave this as an assembly, and we get into the rest of this. I do have all the fun stuff if I ever wanted to water cool the VZBot. Let's go here, probably. Yeah, there we go. No PZ control board. 2.4 is grumpy this morning. Maybe it's mad I'm using PLA. How dare you? Okay, I gotta remember how this thing all comes apart. So, what's up, buddy? Give all my water cooling stuff away. I never even tried to use it. Yeah, I'm not super into getting it set up. I got all the things to do it, but it's not anywhere close to high on the priority list of things to get started on that printer. Dom, how are you? What'd you miss so far? Well, I'm just unbuilding right now. Our plan today is to try some PPS CF parts in place to stiffen up this tool head a bit. I don't even know that it's going to be effectively stiffer or not, but we will find out. I've been working on a lot of my time has been spent on working on getting prepped for the Voron 2 Serial 0 build. So I've taken the frame and used my mill to make sure that all the extrusions are exactly the same length. I've got processed all the extrusions to exactly the same length and square ends, and I re-tapped everything to M5. So that build is going to start in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow is when that build starts. Been rehabbing and rehousing printers this week. K1C, K1 Max, Neptune 3 Max. Fun. Hey, Sean. Work trip to Memphis. This is a great way to relax today and veg out. Awesome. So I am going to put this, the part of this whole build is going to be this cooling duct. I didn't reprint this, but the rest of it, the front piece, the extruder mount, and the back piece is all going to be new. So I had modeled a while back this piece. I was working on trying to stiffen up this assembly for input shaper results by integrating the toolhead board mount into the back plate. And I have a 50mm M3 screw going down here to try to stiffen up this whole assembly. And that seemed to be fairly effective. I need to put a whole bunch of heat sets in this guy. So let's see here. Yeah, that's seams. Now I did not anneal these. Neil, I know that's probably a question you have. I did not anneal these because I didn't want to impact dimensional stability, but it is another thing that could probably be done, at least attempted, to stiffen this up even more. I beat you to it, yep. Okay, how does the rest of this thing come apart? It's been a while. Is that what those are? Under here? Yep. Is this all there is to pulling this thing out? Yep. There we go. There's our little LGX light. I'm printing Gridfinity pieces all this week, part 3 of the garage reorg. Awesome. Here, Chapman. Okay, almost there. So many screws. Been really impressed with the Orbiter 2.5. That's good. Oh, yeah. Those come out. Huge amount of torque, even at 0.5 amps, as I have it in a 65C chamber. Cool. Okay. Belt piece. Come on. There we go. Okay, last ones. And this will be a part, and then we can throw a bunch of heat sets in stuff. Speaking of garage organization, I've got the next phase of the single car garage I am working on parts for. Okay. So we shall see how all of this turns out. But let's get... Anyway, I've been working on the next phase, and I think I've figured out how to resolve my filament storage problem. So I've modeled this a while back. So this is closet made. Closet made, you get it at Home Depot here in the States. It's dual slot track. You can hang shelves and stuff on it. But I made a bracket to hang, did I bring those out here? Maybe I forgot to bring it out here. But to hang rep rack stuff on. But I modeled this piece. I'm pretty proud of this. This piece, let me get this. Let me get this loosened up. So the options for this, for a bracket for the rep rack stuff on printables are all fully printed. And I didn't trust a printed part a thin printed part in these things. So I came up with this. I came up with a cleat that uses screws as the attaching mechanism. So M3 by 25 screws, 3 of those, goes on, locks in, and then 1 screw going straight in to lock the thing in place so it can't come off. So and then there's another screw here that can lock the rep rack bracket in if you put that in. It's not really needed, but it's there in case you wanted to really make sure everything stays together. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I do have some of these in the other garage that have been in place for months now. So now I've ordered, and FedEx is doing their FedEx thing and taking over a week to deliver something within California. I have no idea. I think I'm gonna have to call Home Depot and complain. But I'm waiting for the rest of this track. I'm gonna cover an entire 17-foot wall. Every stud is gonna get this track all the way down, and then I'm gonna have full flexibility on where I put these brackets or regular shelves. So, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I need to publish this. I'm gonna publish this on printables. I don't think I have yet, but yeah, this just screws in. Oops, needs to be pushed all the way down. And then if you look at this from the back, you see the screws there and then the locking screw there. So now this doesn't move. Yep. Anyway, I just wanted to show that off. Daniel, for your cat, sorry, not for you. Thank you. I will make sure that the treats stay supplied. Okay, heat sets. Oh, April's home. You gonna go say hi? He hears. Yeah, that's gonna be hot. Okay, heat sets. There. Can you hear that? I already put this screw in here. That thing goes down. I think it's at least 50 millimeters. Okay, let's use this as a guide. We need probably, looks like 7 heat sets in here. There we go. Stable surface. And then we need this thing to be quite a bit hotter. I think we figured we need over 300 C for these going into PPS. I don't remember what we did before. Do we have a Zura here yet? Okay, so let's get that going. Bye, buddy. What do we got? How about SLS? And quite a few people design and make their extruders that way. There is, it is surprisingly inexpensive to do SLS stuff now. Go on there. Doo-doo-doo. I still need ideas. I don't know what I want to get done by EOS. The aluminum SLS things. I'm really leaning away from doing functional parts. I feel like a functional part's just going to expire. It's going to get replaced. And for functional stuff like that, if all goes well, then Daniel and I are going to do a build that's going to include that, but we'll probably leverage his PCB Way sponsorship again, like we did with the Tic Tac. Using the official EVA 2.5 or EVA 3.0. I don't know what this is. I couldn't quote what this is based on. This is based on one of the EVA designs, I think. But whatever was part of the Mercury 1 build when I did this is what this is. And I don't quite remember what that is. Why are you taking... Nope, that didn't. Why didn't it melt in? Is it not hot enough? Come on. There we go. Probably leave a 2.5 then. Yeah, that sounds about right. I like the idea of transforming a retractable lamp into a tool. Retractable lamp into a tool. Ow, ow, ow. Heat sets are extra hot when you have the iron set to 315. That was a ow. Hot, hot, hot. Our lamp looking heat press. Oh, this guy. Yeah. I love this. Frax Flex Arm. So this is Frax Flex Arm is Turtle Crawler's design. Turtle Crawler also had a big part in working on the Mercury 1. Okay, so heat sets are all done in that piece. We have this piece gets none. Okay, this piece gets none. And then this piece gets 6. 3 on the back, 2 on the front. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have done some sanding on these parts to get them to fit a little better. They were a little bit of a tight fit. Goes in as far as it can. Press it in. I could still get the Trident kit. Now my Mercury 1 is running dual Z custom brackets I made. Nice. Which power lead are you using on the iron? The one that came with it. This is I don't know what this is. This is a TS10 something, I think. It's not a pine sol. Coffee time. Okay, now we've got 4 on the back, and I think that'll be, nope, I got one more to put in this piece. No, I don't use this piece. This piece is, I printed it, but it's combined with this piece, so that one doesn't get used. Okay. Let's just deburr these from the elephant's foot. You running dual tool heads or just one? On here, just one. I'm replacing parts here. The yellow parts are the old parts. They are printed in just Polymaker yellow ASA. I'm pretty sure that's Polymaker yellow. We're hoping that the PPS-CF parts here end up stiffer enough to make the PZ washer react a little more consistently. If it does not, then I may just take these parts off and put them in my lab oven and anneal them. And then see if that makes a difference. Just use PETG CF because I know they're stable and strong. PETG, PET CF would probably be my preference over PETG. PETG is quite a flexible material. It is not stiff. Okay. It also tends to creep, and especially so at moderate chamber temperatures. Nothing doesn't warp the parts, or at least shrink them. It can, but my experience so far with this PPS and PPA, I annealed the tool head for the Zoll tool head, and that's a complex thin wall part. I annealed it and it went together just fine. So it might, I just need to try it and see what happens. Okay, so I think I can start, because this was the real part that was tough to get to fit well, is these two things. And I think that'll be okay, right like that. Make sure we get this all lined up and pushed together. Shrinkage is definitely a thing, yep. Just to what degree and what parts is the question. So this should hopefully go together like that. And like that. Make sure all these are nice and tight. Long screws will end up going. Make sure that these go through just fine. They do not. Let's get the reamer out. An M3 reamer. Is this 3? Let's find out. Do you use 0.4 or 0.6? I use a 0.4 on everything. That's 3. PET CF, I've got my shrinkage dialed in. Really would like to try PPS CF. How much do you compensate for shrinkage on PET CF? And do you see it when you anneal it? Is it consistent? Okay. Where else am I gonna want to? I don't know that I need to worry about anywhere else. I think that was it for the 3mm. Hey, Kobe. And then I have yep, there's a 4mm. I want to make sure the path is clear for this. For the PTFE tube. There we go. PET CF 0.4% and Z 1.5%. Really? 1.5% compensation in Z. That's interesting. So are you taking apart and printing it, measuring it, and then annealing it and taking the difference? And you were able to build a micron by doing this. That's awesome. That is really impressive. Warned about Z and it was true. Interesting. What do you think of the Hodo tools, in particular their rechargeable hand drill? I mean, the only Hodo tool I have is their power screwdriver here, and it's fine. It's fine. This does not have variable torque, so it basically let it slip in my hand for torque control, but I don't know. I don't have any experience with their other stuff, so. Okay. Let's get back up here and let's put this stuff on here. I think we can put that there. Hey, GTR Dad. Out of curiosity, what is better consistency-wise, BL Touch or Eddy? I'm debating upgrading BL Touch on my Mercury to an Eddy, but I don't know if it's better or worse. Are you talking like the Big Tree Tech Eddy, or are you talking Eddy probes in general? Apparently I don't get cats anymore. April closed the door. I don't know why. Eddy probes in general. I would probably go with an Eddy probe in general. I guess the question didn't really matter. Even a BL Touch is a fine probe. I've used them in the past, but I think any of the newer stuff is quicker, easier to deal with. Well, it also depends. You can't use these eddy current probes on a bed with individual magnets, for instance. So if you're doing that, then you may be looking at different solutions. Okay, I got to figure out how I did the belts here. BTT Eddy uses Eddy and G, works well. Been impressed with the new Cardo. Yeah. While I've got this apart, I would actually like to pull the belts here and check them for length. I've had a couple of my old builds where I don't know why, but I mean, obviously I didn't spend as much time on making sure they were the same length as I should have. So I think I want to pull this apart because hopefully this is the last time I pull the belts on this. Well, I guess my intent is to rebuild the gantry anyway at some point, but I think it'd be a good idea. I think I want to check it. So let me get things out of the way here. I want to check these belts and reroute them real quick. Put this up here on my workbench. Belt, bottom belt, and I do this, clamp it to my workbench, and I can just run it along and double check. We never heard an Oscar meow. Well, April closed the door for some reason, so we don't get a cat visit anymore. Okay, so I do this by clamping one side of my workbench here, and then just run this along. Yeah, I'm a whole tooth off on this. I don't know what, I can't, I blame past me. I can't explain it. But this is a tooth off. I'm glad I did this. This is a tooth off in length. I think, because I used to just mesh the belts and run them together, and I think it's just too easy to get confused on which side is the long tooth. Okay, now they're the same length. They were one tooth off. One tooth off. So bottom belt here. Let's go reroute this. Oh, come on. There we go. Whatever. Just dropping right off of there. Drops here and through here. Who is the person behind me? Is there a ghost in here? Who is the person behind me? A ghost, apparently. Nope. Okay, where did... Ghost of my past is who caused the belt problems, that's for sure. Oh, woo. I didn't pay attention, but I ended up putting the belt on correct side up. I almost had to redo that. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. There we go. My dad kidding me on the belt writing. It's important. It's important. Okay. Now, Hey, Andres. Come to think about it, it does seem the smarter way to mount a gantry using the frame itself rather than like on the Voron 2.4. This makes things a whole lot more difficult to enclose, though. Whole lot more difficult to enclose. I don't know how. Oh, let's clean this up. There we go. Know how far these need to go. Those go right there. We can start with that. 2mm by 5. K3 is quite nice in that regard. K3, what's the K3? Oh, the Annex K3. I have no knowledge of their designs. Okay, so that's like that. Those are both exactly even on the end. These up on the belts, or up on the pulleys. Guess I just put it right like that. I think I'll be fine. Yeah, just like that. Wasn't there a modded version of the back towers that pulled it in to make it easier to add an enclosure? Well, their enclosure adds basically a whole framework around the... Adds basically a whole framework around the printer. Nico. Okay, there we go. That's all good. Now, can I pull this tight enough? Okay, that's going to end up being a little tighter than I want. So I'm going to pull this back a tooth or two each. Let me try. Right there. Making sure all of the belts stay in alignment. Much better. Get everything, there we go. Make sure everything is it's up there. It's there. See where we're at with belt tensions. That seems a smarter way to mount a gantry using the frame itself. Wasn't there a modded version of the back towers that pulled it in to make it easier to add an enclosure? I don't know. I haven't kept up on mods for this. Okay, 2.6 seems a little high for unsupported steppers. One's 2.4. That's a little closer to what I want it to be. So let's loosen this side a little bit. I already read that. Yeah, I know. The only downside to a gantry like this is the belt tension just wants to bend all the plastic parts. Yeah, it relies on these guys being pretty beefy. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's see where that's at. Go right at 2.4. That one's 2.25. What did I? Still at 2.4. 2.3 something. Just a little bit more over here. Seems odd. Why is this? This is very obviously not pulling the same amount to reach the same tension. Why is that? Something isn't right. If belts are exactly equal, then the amount of adjustment per side should be the same to reach equal tension, if everything is correct. So something isn't correct. Now it could be this. How this tightens up. Let's see there. With those tight, what do we end up with? Right back to 2.6. And 2.6. So that's a little tight, I think. So I'm gonna loosen this. I think this is the little bit of extra complication in dealing with these front tensioners. .4. 2.4. Okay. I'm going to call that good right there. Might be a little high. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look at the suggested documentation, but that is there. Okay. That's on. Now we can start bolting things like this to it. Is that right? This guy's gonna go there. These guys through here, I think. Is that flush? Yeah. There we go. Hey there, Ranch Kid. It's that, and then I think I'm going to, I don't need that. I don't really want to get rid of the wire there. The wire's not necessary. However, if I have no choice but to go back to But to go back to clicky, I don't really want to get rid of that. So maybe I'll just, oops. Let's read this out. Hey, Nosclog. Oh. Go. So that goes through there. What am I doing? Where's the other? There it is. Like that. Andrew, for the Furry Supervisor Treat Compensation Fund. Thanks for the super chat. That is stiff. Okay, what was I doing for these screws in the back? Was that these or these? Gotta remember what fasteners went where. This is for the tool head. This is for the, was it these? Oops. Should have reamed all these out before. There we go. That's a good question. How many well-running self-built printers do you own personally and commercially? Well, self-built, I have 2, 3, 4. This seems wrong for these screws. What did I do here? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at with fasteners and which fasteners go where. These go through there? No. I should have reamed all this stuff out ahead of time. I have like 32 printers, and most of them can print within a very, very short time of getting them set up. Okay. Just trying to remember what fasteners went where. I don't know if this is right, but we'll put these right here. Kind of my go-to printers right now. I have the 2 Core 1s and the Core 1L. Those are the go-tos. The Trident, gray Trident here is a absolute workhorse. Although I just had to, it's annoying. It fails at random times. So far, it's been relatively quick fixes. The most recent was last night. And where is it? This guy, this little pigtail going between the B stepper and the rest of the harness, something has failed on it. It's got to be mid-wire or a crimp isn't tight enough. I mean, all the crimps are fine. Everything visually looks fine. But this I replaced this and it's working now. So, but, and otherwise, it's my higher temp PPS, that kind of stuff printer, but it's been printing most of the parts for the Stealth Changer build. Go to, not 32. No, I don't have 32 go-to printers. But there. What else am I printing with? The green V2 with the box turtle on it has been a workhorse. Why does the bed mount connected to the guiding rails have carriages and linear rails? Because of the bed tilting. Yes, so this is their Hydra solution for allowing for extreme articulation in the bed. This thing can just keep going, and it doesn't bind up. Now, there's no practical application for this. There's no practical application for this, but we can keep going. You can't do that on a Trident. You don't need to do that on a Trident, but this will keep going. It's interesting to see. There's no reason. Not yet, there isn't. Well, Clipper will never slice for it. It's a slicer thing. Clipper it isn't a clipper thing. Okay, that should go up in there. I wanted that in there before I tighten these down. What was the design decision behind it? Just because. I think it's just because. It is a way to allow for a kinematic or a articulating bed, but there's no practical reason for it. A lot of stuff in a design like this is because you can, because it's fun. Well, Clipper already controls the motion system. You just have to tell, Slicer needs to tell it how. There we go. I don't know. You may be right. There might be some firmware component to it. I honestly haven't dedicated any brain power to it because it's not anywhere near something we can do right now. Okay, we're getting close. I think I can pull the hot end in. These guys. Hey, don't knock it. If Clipper can understand something like tilt the bed 30 on the right, no idea how not. Yeah, I don't know either. That's why I said. So I kind of correct myself. I'm not sure what it would take. Hey Brent. Hey Brent, check it out. You'll like this. Now that print is not a good print. I'm not happy with the print quality, but use any thrust bearings on top of the Z motors. This design does not include those, but you're right. It's not a bad idea. Okay, so can I? Okay. You see where that's going? So this is the Polymaker PET CF, very thin walls, and in these areas is where it's breaking. But otherwise, I'm really impressed with how durable this is. These are super thin walls, and that's why I'm getting. I've printed this twice now. The previous one was better, but I need to play around with my print settings to get rid of that stuff. But I'm pretty impressed with how thin a walls it is and how it the layer adhesion seems to be good. It's breaking in these along these lines, but yeah. This is Polymaker's PET GF15. They're GF15 stuff. But I'm confident that that will be the filament to make that droid from. So I'm moving forward with that. Hey, Nick. Toolhead style extruder and hot end are being installed. So I'm replacing the plastic printed parts on this Mercury 1, trying to stiffen things up to see if the PZ washer will work better with a stiffer tool head. Okay, those are not quite lining up. Loosen things up a bit here. Let's loosen a few things up here. Yeah, I can do this, 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 that. Go. These two should allow me to move things around a little bit. So just plastic changes. Yeah, right now just plastic changes, just to see where we end up. Where did that pass? There it is. Let's get a where, oh, I think it's over here. Yep, there it is. Oh. I'm testing some PCTG. I'm super impressed with it. Lots of the PETG upside with better layer adhesion and less moisture absorption. I only have one roll of PCTG. I bought it from 3D Fuel at 3D Printopia. I do have some high hopes for it, but I just bought clear. I was going to use it for basically diffusers and stuff. Has anybody played around with the PHA stuff? I have a roll of that too. It's supposed to be nice. Okay. Whole thing feels nicely stiff, but what feels good doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work better for the sensor. The pan chroma stuff is not a typical PLA resin, right? It's something different. Is that right? CPE, what is that? Printer prone. Oh, copolyester. The struggle bus filament right now is the Fibron ASA CF08. The bend radius on the core one's entry into the toolhead makes it snap after it loads. Andrew, I cannot print that filament on my Nextruder printers. I share your experience there. The question, what I suspect is going on is it's not the bend into the tool. I think, and I need to test this a little further, but I think it's the idlers in the Nextruder itself, because you have your main drive gear and then you have your two idlers, and I think this bend it's going through here is where it's breaking. Does that make sense? Push this back further, but I might have to remove one of these completely. There. Could be it loads okay, but then 90% of the time it snaps on the automatic retract. Yeah. I can't get a full load on it, so I've given up on using it. Okay, so this guy plugs in there. These two plug in. I got to figure out where these all plug in. I've got three there. Which is which? Let's find out. EBB 36, GitHub, close enough. GitHub, not a Gen 2, so this is EBB, these guys, and 36, and hardware, and the pinout. Bob, morning. Polymaker has brought magic to the consumers with Fibron line. Fibron in general, I've been pleased with. I'm here. Bob will like this shirt. Oops. I take my filament like I take my coffee, strong and black. I figured it was appropriate. We're using Fibron PPS CF on the build here. I had to load and print once, and the print was gorgeous. It's a shame that it's so brittle. Sorry, Tech Fiber Heart PPA CF stuff is great. This stuff really needs 340 nozzle temp for best layer adhesion. Okay, what do we have here? We have fan. Okay, so going by that, the brittle materials are challenging also on other printers. Struggles with these. Yeah, my go-to printer is my gray Trident here. It seems to do the best with brittle filaments. The filament path with my little 45-degree inlet and stuff seems to work pretty well. Okay, which one? I think I put, we might have to swap these around later, but I think that goes there. And nope, nope, nope. That goes there. That goes there. That one goes over there. And then the heater plugs in. Now I put wires to a connector on this because of the tiny thing there, but main connector and Bowden tube. Okay. Now we need to put our, this guy can just kind of go set off to just kind of tuck there, but we need to get this guy in here. So for right now, I was figuring out if this works. I was using VHB. So let me get a little piece of VHB. A piece of VHB. I've got the 85X enclosed. Let me give the ASA CFOA to go on Ed and see if I get a better result. Will it go up to, so what temperature? So when you, I'm curious, Andrew. So when you are able to print with it, what is your nozzle temp on that ASA CFO8? What are you printing it at? PPA CF core is nice. I have some of that. I haven't tried printing with it yet though. Okay, so this goes up and this is just VHBing to the top there. Just out of the way, VHBing. There's an 18% sale going on from Soraya Tech. Nice. This guy comes around here. It's just plugging in on here. And I think we're about ready to turn this on and see how it works. I had a disaster drying with a Sunlight dryer on its 100C temp. I totally ruined an ASA roll. Oops. Yeah. I've damaged printer or filament drying it too hot as well. Okay, are we good? Are we set? Are we set to try this? Use your grain for a print of our company logo. Nice. I think I was printing it around 270. It's been a few months. I'm printing that stuff. I'm printing here. I am printing the ASA. Here we go. This is a print I was doing for the Stealth Changer. My Fibron CF08 profile, I'm printing at 290. 290. I'm printing that stuff at 290 and getting pretty good results. I'm pretty pleased. I was getting some skirt stuff done. Okay, let's see here. Let's power it on and see what happens, huh? I guess that's it. Go. Mm-hmm. Why is that. I'm not getting any lights on the toolhead board. Why am I not getting any lights on the toolhead board? Why am I not getting any lights on the toolhead board? Which means this isn't powering. Oh, okay, so that's loose. I don't want that to just, so let me shut this thing down. The connector there is loose. So why is the, oh yeah. Something is going on with this plug. Something's going on with the plug. It's loose. Why is it loose? Those are good. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, it's powering on now. I don't know if it just wasn't plugged in all the way or what was going on. We're gonna get this zip tied on there just to hold it in, make sure it's hopefully stays good. Okay. Okay. Got that. We got a, it's triggering. You can see the light there. When I trigger it, I think it's just a matter of, let's home it in Z-tilt. Let's see what happens, huh? Let's get this somewhat close to where. That should be pretty close. No, it shouldn't. It was all the same? Yeah. Okay, that should be pretty close. Hey, David. Yeah, that's nice and sensitive. I'm barely tapping that, and it's triggering. Let's find out. Hold on. Oh, that was harsh. I just want to make sure. So let's go ahead and home Z. Just wanted to make sure it would trigger. Okay. Z-tilt. Must home axes first. Apparently something's not homed. Let's see. Let's bring this up. Mercury 1. Yeah, apparently it didn't home. It didn't save the home for the others. So let's home all of them. Lazy Susan has been so handy. It's sensorless on X, but it's got a switch for Y. I'm a little concerned. Why is this so far off? I'm just gonna force this closer. I don't want it to. Okay, that feels better. Let's do a Z-tilt. Yeah. Okay. I think this is better than we got. This is the best we've had on this. This is awesome. That just did a Z-tilt with no retries. Do you know what kind of chamber temps a PZ probe is rated for? I don't remember what they rate it for. There's a difference between what it's rated for and what you can practically run it at too. It's just, you're on your own at that point. That was awesome. I think that's good. I mean, that was one try, but we did not get that kind of result last time. We had retries and false. Oh yeah, I need to try it again. But for an initial try, I'm pretty pleased. Let's see how that. So that is harsh. So let's change up. So I did change belt tensions, that kind of stuff. Let's fix that sensorless homing on X here. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Let's see what we have here for. Do you think the PZ probe is viable for a V0? I don't think it's needed for a V0. Why? I don't have a Z probe, a mesh probe on any of my V0s. I think it's probably a light enough. Here's the answer to your question. I think it's probably a light enough trigger. It can be tuned to have a light enough trigger to be okay on a V0. I do question on whether it's useful on a V0 though. Okay, so let's go to machine and printer config and look at what I have for my X sensitivity. So what is this? I always forget. Let's go to Clipper Docs. PZ Pro product page on A3D site says maximum ambient temperature 75°C. Thank you, Bob. I don't like the V0 tool head. I would like to swap to something I can put on an independent extruder on. There's lots of options out there, Howie. If I go to documentation and the TMC drivers and tuning, let's go here. So I go here just to see what is the, here we go. 4 2209s, 255 is most sensitive. So the value 0 to 255, and the higher the number is more sensitive. So I want to go back here and I'm going to try, actually we can, what is it? We do the, what is the command? Set. Here we are. Let's go here. Let's copy this command and let's close this. Go here and set that. We're at 65 now, so let's try 70. So let's set that to 70. I know it's behind chat, but, and then let's home X. Much better. Much better. Let's see what happens if we set this to 75. And let's move X out of the way. And now let's home X. Well, that was weird. What did that do? Let's try that again. I think any mesh has limited value, Nick, on a V0. Let's home X and see what happens again. That was very odd. Why is that? I set it more sensitive and it is skipping the belts. It's doing something weird. What was that? That was, did you guys see that? Here, you could see it over here. Let me do that again. This is some derivative of the EVA toolhead. Home X. Watch this. Look at that. It is skipping and it's set to more sensitive. Let's see what happens if we go even higher. I went from 75 to 85. It's home X. That's better. Why did it do that? So at 70, it was better than 65, but at 75, it was hitting hard. Let's try this a couple of times. Home X. Okay, that's better. Did you share the file for the PZ board? Yeah. Here's my file. It's, you see it up here? It's VHB'd to the back of the toolhead board mount right now. I haven't made a permanent mount for it. Here you go. Let's try this again. Home X. Okay, I will let that be right there. And so let's go in. That was 85. So let's go in and change that. Machine, printer, 85. 85. And save and restart. Okay, let's home all. And Z-tilt. I'm super pleased. It is pot blue. Good call. I am super pleased with that. What kind of probe you're using, because That's a nozzle touching. It is. This is a PZ. So this is the E3D PZ washer. So this is the PZ standalone. They have two versions. They have the one with a Revo Voron built into the heatsink, and then they have one that's just the washer. And I modified the hot end mount for this to fit the washer in between this drop effect hot end and the mount. So the whole point, this is the third stream that I've done on trying to get this to work on the Mercury One here. So each time we've changed something and gone through and done some testing, and up to this point we've had either very, very poor results or inconsistent results. So right now I am super happy because this is not retried once. It's gone through a few successful Z-tilt cycles. I'm really happy. See you, Kobe. Have a good one. I wonder if you could do it with a strain gauge so you could possibly automate PA count. Honestly, a strain gauge load cell type thing is probably the better overall solution. But for low impact, low pressure, direct nozzle probing, I've been really happy with the Revo PZ. I do want to go in and tweak some of my settings here. So if I go here to, it is taking a whole lot longer than it needs to. Down here in the Z-tilt settings, I am moving 15 millimeters. Let's make 5. This machine will exist in a mostly tram state 99.9% of the time. I don't need it to move 15 millimeters in between points. And then up here in probe, we're doing, actually we got 10 there for bed mesh. I don't think we need that either. Let's go 5 there as well. We'll give all of this a try. And our lift on retract distance here per probe. Let's go 5 on all of these and see how that does. Do a strain. Also can't wait to get a Rapido 2 soonish because I have a Rapido 1 ceramic core break on me recently. Ouch. I'm using the Rapido Ace, the Triangle Labs version, on my gray Trident here, and it's been okay. It barely does PPS. 340 is about the max temperature I can get out of it. Okay, so I changed that. So let's do a home all and see how all this does. Z-tilt. Horizontal move Z can't be less than the probe Z offset. Oh, okay. That's an error I got. Horizontal move Z can't be less than the probe Z offset. Why is the probe Z offset so high? Probe Z offset 5. Why is the probe Z offset 5? Probe Z offset is 8.8. Okay, so this is left over from the clicky. So I'm going to change this to 5. Just for right now. And we're gonna do a calibrate. We're gonna do a probe calibrate here in a minute. So we're just gonna set it to the same. It doesn't matter right now, but we need to do that anyway. So the other thing we can do here, anyone try that Mellow Alps Heat Core 4 that can also do the nozzle touch probing? I have no idea what that is, Bearded Bucket. I'd be curious what that is. Okay, so that is changed. We should be able to home all again. Mellow's version of the PZ Pro. But what does it use? What technology does it use? Is it a piezo element? Whoa, that was... Okay, that's not what I want. Because the offset is 5, that's a problem. Let me restart. I have the offset set to the same as the, I scratched the bed just a little bit, but not bad. I don't think it's permanent scratches. It was just grazing it because I was already in a tram state. Let me go in here and change that offset because it should actually be very close to 0. So let's change this to 0. And let's save that, and let's actually make this, I feel like 7. Not as drastic as reducing that to 5. 5 might be okay, but let's just change these to 7 just for sample retract distance. I think we can do 5. Leave that. Save and restart. Oops. I didn't realize that would graze the bed like that with those set to basically the same. I bought from a retail store. Oh, so what was that? Alps, Mellow Alps. I'm gonna look this up. Mellow Alps. Pressure leveling module. Optimize your 3D prints. Mellow Heat Core Alps Hot End Smart Leveling Nozzle. Let's look here. So for Voron, VZBot, Hevort, high flow, high speed. The Alps pressure leveling module. When it touches the heat bed, it will transmit a signal to the main board. Thinking about putting it in an ant head, but there are no mounts that I can find. Huh. Let's see what this thing, $60. Marked down from 120. Programmable gain amplifier. High precision pressure leveling solution. Interesting. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know anything about this. Huh. Okay. Back to this. Let's home it all again. Whoa. Why did that... That only moved 1 stepper down. Or 2, maybe. Why didn't the other one move? I did an e-stop because I didn't want to continue that. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, now it worked. Weird. Now let's see what happens when I do a Z-tilt. There we go. Oh, I got a false trigger there. But that's actually different. That's not a, that's completely different problem than we were having with this probe solution. It's the opposite problem. This is not wanting to settle in. .0175 was the last. There we go. Okay. Settled in on .0006. Okay, that's fine. So I want to check to confirm. So it triggered early on 1. So it triggered early, which is better than triggering late, which is the problem we were having before. Triggering early can be caused by, or is caused by sensitivity in some way of the PZ. But we also want to make sure that here under probe, we have this wait 200 milliseconds. I'm gonna change this to like 3 because the reason that probably triggered early is some vibration was still going on that triggered it. This is one of the key values right there in this activate G code in the probe. This is one of the biggest reasons that people have trouble getting PZ probe to work on their printers is they don't put this in. What this does is cause it, after the printers move, just wait that fraction of a second before it does a probe motion for the, to let the printer settle. I want to see if this has an actual impact on times here. Just increasing that a little more. It seemed like a little bit more time might resolve that. So save and restart that. Okay, let's go again. And I actually want to bump this up. Let's do this at bed temperature. And we can try actually, because I want to do a offset calibration. So, and I want to do that at bed temperature. So let's clean it off so we can maybe start a print on this before we're done too. Hey, Scott, welcome. Scott, I've got the PZ washer working on this. So far, it's working fantastic. I have not had an instance yet of the problems I was having when we were trying this before. And the problems we were having is it wasn't triggering consistently. The only one single instance is I've had it trigger early once, which is a much better problem to have than not triggering. I am very, very pleased. Very, very pleased. Let's see, this is heating up. Yep. We're at 55C already. I've got this thing limited to, it looks like I have it limited to 70%. I don't know why. There's no reason for that. Where is the heater? Heater, where's the heater bed? There it is. Oh no, I have it limited to 80%. That's not bad. I'm gonna change this to 1. I'm just gonna go full send on that. It's not going to taco it. It's fine. I'm not gonna save and restart because right now it doesn't really matter. Okay, that is at 60. Let's go ahead and go through and home it all again. Let's home all. And then Z-tilt. I'm so happy with this. It's an interesting kind of test for the stiffness difference between the plastics. The only change that we've made is in these 3 printed parts. I swapped out these 3 for PPS-CF. I didn't change the tension, the bolt tension. The hot end mount is the same. So these 3 printed parts is the only effective change that we've made. Yeah, and I didn't even anneal them. Now it is taking more cycles than I think it should for this. Yeah, it's not dialing in as quickly as I think it should. There it goes. Let's look. 0.0075 is what I have it set to. Well, I want to look and make sure we did a couple other things. Our probe settings, our offsets are 0, 0, so that's what they should be. And why does it not double move on X? When it homes, it's because I have it set to sensorless homing, and you don't need to for sensorless homing. I think it's recommended not to. Is it worth just increasing that a tad? It could be, Neil. It very well could be. but that's okay. Let me close this and let's home all. And grab a offset calibration sheet and run a probe calibrate. Okay. So let's do, see, calibration sheet. 2, 3, 4. Should I go 5? No. Going down 0.1. Oh, there. It's just touching. Actually, I think I'd leave it right there. I'll have to fine tune that, but that's probably okay right there. Yeah, we'll go right there. Accept that. And save config. Okay, let's get this. What do we want to print? Let's print something before we call this done. And let's go also here and I do have this, what is it? The Z-tilt 0.0075. If I double that, 0.0015 or 0.015, it's probably still fine. 0.015. Save and restart. And then a mesh. Actually, I don't typically run a mesh on this printer. This is a printer that I don't typically run a mesh. Once it's tilted, it just prints fine. And I've done full sheets, and it does just fine. Let's keep this up. My Ender 5 Pro that's in the garage doing nothing. If you can tell the difference, it would be impressive. I agree. I agree. Let's home all. Do I have... I've done all of this stuff. Why don't we do a, before we print, why don't we do a input shaper test on it and see what that looks like. .0293 was that one. .0187. .033. This is a problem. So it should never increase. So we do have something still going on here. We do have something still going on that's not ideal. Yeah, now it's .021. we do still have something that's not ideal in this setup. Oh, now it did a retry. 0.04. Yeah. Oh, it did an early trigger there. Yeah, I need to do, you're right, I need to do a probe accuracy. There we go. So it finally did it, but we definitely have something that's still not right with the setup. And I don't know if I need to go through and just kind of tighten everything up. Hey, Troy. But let's try a probe accuracy. And I don't know what a good value for this is. Let's do it again. Hey, Luke. Welcome. With a little more retract, we could try that too. Give it a little more distance to. That was, so the first value there, as you see, is we got 0.0018. Now we got 0.0008. Let's try another one. We've also messed around a lot with speeds and stuff, which we could tweak that too. And that one was terrible, 0.05. So we're getting some inconsistency there. Let's go over here and let's go down to the probe section. And what are we doing here? We're doing lift speed and speed. Let's go to the E3D docs. Yeah, that one was bad. So let's go down here to the help centre. And I'm gonna go here and Revo Voron PZ probe. This is fine. And let's see, let's go here and let's look at what config they have here. So lift speed 10, speed of 5. We can try reducing the speed. I'm going 10. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if I slow this down. We did a lot of changing on these values when we were trying it before. Let's see what happens when we go back to their recommended settings. It may be good, it may be bad. But let's reduce this. And then that retract, I think I did, what do they do for retract? Three. They only do 3 for the retract. And only 2 samples. That's weird. Lift speed 10, 5. Sample retract. They do only 3. Let's just do that. Save and restart. The current on Z. I want to keep the bed heated up. So let me get this back in here. I don't think are we changing the current on Z? Here, probe. This is all target temp stuff. Oh, that's the other thing. I could make sure that we don't have any melted plastic on there. That's probably a good point, is get this up to 150 just to make sure anything that's on there can get squished out of the way. So default current on Z right now, which are, it's only 0.5. Let's save and restart that. Yeah, it's not that far out of date. Let's go here, 150. This will tell me, okay. So, this will tell me that I have my fans backwards. This will tell me that I have my fans backwards. So let's shut this down. I didn't plug the fans into the right ports. So let's get that fixed. Okay, right off. Let's get in here. This guy and this guy get swapped. There we go. Powering it back on. So I think their recommended current on Z is really going to depend. I mean, I guess the point is they just suggest lowering the current on Z. It's going to depend on what particular steppers are being used. Okay, is this ready yet? So let's get this. Do you have to worry about vibrations from the hot end fan when probing? No, yes, but it hasn't been an issue. So there we go. Now the correct fan is turning on when I heat it up. Let's get the hot end heated up and make sure there isn't any plastic there that's impacting our accuracy results. I'm not feeling anything there. Okay, that's good. It's home. Well, that was not ideal. Why did that not home? You have signed this printer, Scott. Well, what did I do? What did I do? Did I accidentally unplug this? No. It suddenly won't. So, good timing, David. It's triggering, I think, from the fan right now. So we are. You tried turning it on and off again. Your black PI sheet looks like it's just a magnetic sheet. Gives me a twitch when home. I didn't mind dive into the sheet before. Oh, this is the honey badger sheet here. What's going on? Because I'm watching the LED here. It's triggering just sitting here, which means it's getting vibrations from the hot end cooling fan. So that is funny that you had mentioned that. We are, so let's do this. So let's go back here and we want to, here we are. So what thing is it on? Threshold. Where is the little table that tells us what we're set to right now? Isn't there? Ah, here we are. So we are set to which way is that red? Can't really read it there. It's too bright. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So we have 1 and 2 on. So 1 and 2 are on, off. So I'm set all the way down here to threshold 6 for some reason. Threshold 6, preset 6. Let me change this. So here, this is, let's change this to default. Let's start at default. Okay, so we are at default right now. And that should be the most sensitive. And it's not sitting there triggering. Now it was sitting there triggering at default 6. No, it was on, off. Default 3 is what it was on. It was at default 3, not 6. And preset 3 is a very low threshold. Let's see what happens when we home here. Let's see what happens when we home here. It's triggering when I bump it. So let's home. Time for me to run. See you, David. Let's home all. This should be the most sensitive. Okay, that's fine. Let's run through a Z-tilt cycle. Getting lots of retries. Too many retries. Isn't 5 default and you have 1 originally? No, 0 is default. It's on default right now, but we got a lot of retries there. Really exceed sample tolerance. Here, let's go back to home. If we go back here, so default is 0, all off. I was on 3. LED 1 on, 2 on, and 3 off. This is what I was running it at. It was sitting there triggering just sitting there, which means I'm assuming the fan was causing it to trigger on preset 3, and preset 3 is a very low threshold, 1 here. Without the filter. So preset 3, according to this, is very sensitive. let's see what we're getting here with the probe accuracy. So that's not great, it's 0.02. But if you look, it's really being skewed by that first value. That first value at 0.17, the rest of them are really close. Let's do this again. See, that's way better, 0.0004, and all that first value didn't skew it. Everything else was good. Let's do it again. Alex, I've gotten this to work on many printers. There's nothing wrong with the PZ probe. The problem is in people's builds. It is sensitive enough to expose problems in your build. That's the bottom line. This is sensitive enough to expose problems elsewhere in the printer. I've got this running on, it works fine on the Mercury 1, or not the Mercury 1, the Micron. It's running on my Green V2. It's running on my Solid Fork. It's running on my purple Trident. That one was 0.001. If you look in here, it's really rather close along there. So the problem I ended up having on this last one was, that one was terrible because it triggered early. That 0.53 was an early trigger. So that was a 0.18. You do know someone then, yep. Okay, so we can try, like you said, we can try the 4, but with filtering, and see what happens. So 4 is on, off, off. So this should be 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be. Let's see what happens when we do triggering or filtering. Nope. It does not like filtering. Filtering is not good. It doesn't trigger soon enough. I e-stopped it. Hey, Ella. If it's not triggering at all, resin, there's something else going on. If it's not triggering at all, it's usually you're too sensitive. It should be too sensitive. It should trigger early. But if it's not triggering at all, there's something else going on with your setup. So this does not like filtering on. So let me change that now. So let's get this back to 0. Let's try the 1. Oops, this is all. get everything back. Let's go back here and try a probe accuracy. 2 sensing, you get motor noise, not sense enough, you crush, yeah. Well, that's not good. That was a catastrophic failure right there. Okay, well, that didn't trigger at all in sensitivity 1. Fudge. I heard a small crack. I don't know what it was, but there was a small crack. I might need Clicky to return. It's possible. So, summary, based on that, we were really, I think it would work just fine with the setup that we started with here. I think adjusting the Z-tilt, adjusting the Z-tilt threshold and stuff probably would have been okay. I want to remind everyone that I'm in a setup here that's not recommended. That the E3D has said that the top mounted rail with the washer here is not a recommended setup. I would be interested to see if I could get an actual Revo Voron to work okay in here, but I don't think I'm going to go through with that. This printer doesn't need a Revo Voron. I want to continue using this hot end. The question is, what is the next probe solution I want to try, Ella? We were so close. I was very excited at the beginning of this stream. And I feel like we made a lot of progress, but I think that's just not going to be it. So what do we do instead on this to get this printer up and running again? So like I said, this is not a recommended configuration. We have tried many things to get it working, and it is possible that the next step, annealing the parts, we might get to that point where it's stiff enough. But I think you're right, Neil. I think it may just not be the reliable solution for this printer. And that's fine. That is fine. I'm calibrating rotation distance for my Delta Flyer. Do you have your plaque with the formula on it? I do, but I don't know where it is. Do you still have the old heatsink and PCB that Jason sent me? I do. I do, Ella. I don't know what I want to do for this one. I'm not sure I want to do I'm not sure that a cartographer is a great setup for this. It's just, where do you put it? There's no real spot for it without changing the cooling whole setup completely. What could you be talking about? What do you mean? But I did get some crack in there, and I don't know, it might have been in, oh yeah, I think it was in the cooling ducts as it pushed down. Could stiffer parts end up transducing more outside noise to the probe? Hey Brian, welcome. It's possible. I mean, we've had our best results of this whole journey today. Oh, Ella's solution is a load cell solution there, Neil. There are a few ducts where they add the cartographer onto the bottom of the ducts. Yeah. I could throw a beacon on here. I don't have a cartographer. I have a beacon, but I don't have an extra one. Hey Liz, happy Saturday. Well, bummer. What else can I don't know if there's anything else I want to try. I think we cycled through the potential solutions here. Clicky zero? What's that? I feel like I know what that is, but I don't, not off the top of my head. Found one printables for Volcano. You know, the other thing that I didn't do here is I didn't add an additional anchor point for the hot end mount here. I was going to add a third or maybe third and fourth anchor point but I didn't get to that. That could potentially be a thing. Stiffen up this whole assembly onto the rest. Puts clicky direct. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Maybe I'll try that next. Just to keep beating this dead horse, is stiffen up this mount. Because right now this is only 2 screws going in right here, and there's nothing along the bottom. I wonder if that would help. Keep beating it up. Probably make that go down. At least add 1 extra point down here. The EVA 3.0. EVA 3.0 tool head. Always interested to see what other people are doing with probes. Right, rig toolhead plate. Toolhead would work well for this printer. There's an aluminum plate. Yeah, that's what I have on the Tic Tac. I don't know what's different on this from what I have. What do I have for? Oh, that doesn't. Oh, there we go. Just looking at space back here. Just what kind of room I have behind it. I don't think I have room for a full rat rig tool head and still get all of the print travel. I think it sticks out too far back with the cooling solution they have. I don't think the rat rig tool head would be a good option for this. E32M1 instead of the official EVA 2.0. I think I'm gonna try. Well, the last thing I'm gonna try is add a third mounting point for the hot end mount here, because so much of this is reliant on. Let's see if we can get a view here. So much of this is reliant on transferring this impact at the nozzle up into the PZ washer up here. And if I can stiffen up this setup we might get that little extra bit. So I think I can do it by just modifying this hot end mount and add it to integrate with this other mounting bolt that's already down here. Just put a longer bolt in. So, yep. Anyway, I think we're going to call it here. A relatively short higher preload rail. Well, this is already a honey badger rail, and there's no rocking, there's no noticeable movement there. I'm not saying that that wouldn't help, but I'll try that. And I need to figure out exactly what caused the little cracking. It could be anywhere in the assembly. So anyway, thank you for hanging out. We are going to be back tomorrow working on the stealth changer. I don't know if anybody seen, I'm going to finish up. I got to build the last 2 tool heads tonight, but this is tool heads for the stealth changer. I think we're going to be putting umbilicals on and maybe even powering it on and starting to set things up tomorrow. We will be back. I will not be streaming next weekend. I'll be out of town. So we're going to be on to, after that, we'll be on to building the Voron 2 Serial 0. Just put one of those on this. So, some success, not fully. I want to try that last thing before I call it completely dead. So anyway, thank you all for being members. I really appreciate it. It really does help me keep motivated doing what I do. And we will see you tomorrow. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the build. Bye.